All right, so today we are going like way deep into this case that's got like everybody talking.
Oh, yeah?
The Luigi Mangione case.
Yeah.
Um, he's accused of murdering this healthcare CEO,
Mm-hmm.
and the public is like totally divided.
It's wild.
Some people are like, "Oh, he's a total hero,"
Right.
and others are like, "No, he is a cold-blooded killer."
Yeah, just a straight up murderer.
Yeah. So you sent over a bunch of really interesting sources.
Yeah, I did.
We've got some superheated Reddit threads, news articles that are like analyzing,
Mm-hmm.
what could happen politically, and even a piece from the Daily Beast about how this case could like
Yeah.
play right into Trump's hands.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
So let's unpack all of this stuff.
It's crazy how this case, it's more than just
Yeah.
a regular, legal battle.
Totally.
It's like this mirror reflecting
Yes.
these deep anxieties we have, like, as a society.
It totally is. And all those anxieties are like on full display
Oh, yeah.
in these Reddit threads.
For sure.
It's literally like a digital battlefield
I love
with people just like passionately defending Mangione.
Right.
And then others like vehemently condemning him.
Totally.
There's like no middle ground.
No, it seems like everyone's picked a side,
Yeah.
and the language people are using, it's really revealing.
Uh-huh.
A lot of these users, they're calling Mangione a martyr,
Oh, why?
which is like so loaded, historically and emotionally. It's like
Yeah.
they see him as someone who sacrificed himself for some greater cause.
Yeah, one user wrote, he'll be first in line just for the publicity and striking fear.
Oh, wow.
Like clearly thinking this is all some big publicity stunt.
Oh, right.
But then you've got another user who says he murdered someone in cold blood and they'll make an example out of him,
Jeez.
believing like Mangione deserves to be punished like harshly.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like such a stark contrast.
It really is. This case seems to be hitting a nerve, don't you think?
Absolutely.
It touches on these fundamental issues, like, access to health care, the power of corporations. Right.
And like the idea of, individuals taking justice into their own hands. It's like it's forcing people to really confront some like uncomfortable questions.
Okay, so emotions are definitely running super high.
Oh, for sure.
But what about the actual legal stuff of the case?
Right.
Because martyr or not, Mangione is facing some serious charges.
Yeah. So while public opinion is like completely divided, the legal reality is just as complicated.
Gotcha.
First, you got to remember that the death penalty is abolished in New York State.
Right.
So while he is facing federal charges, those are like incredibly complicated.
Yeah.
And could take years to like actually play out.
And even if he is found guilty on that like federal level,
Right.
there's the whole appeals process.
Oh, yeah.
Which can drag on forever.
Absolutely.
Years, if not decades.
Yeah.
It's totally possible that Trump's term could be over
Oh, easily.
before an execution would even be like considered.
Yeah, that's a real possibility.
Yeah. And we can't forget about, the potential for a hung jury.
Oh, right.
You mentioned how much like negative sentiment there is towards healthcare CEOs.
Totally.
That could easily sway a jury's decision, even if the evidence against Mangione is like super strong.
Speaking of those Reddit threads,
Okay.
there are some like wild theories going around.
Oh, really?
Somebody even brought up the Jeffrey Epstein case,
Oh, wow.
suggesting that Mangione might not even survive to see trial.
Jeez.
Clearly, some people think there are like these powerful forces at play
Right.
that might want to silence him for good.
For people who might not know all the details,
Yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein was this wealthy financier,
Uh-huh.
and he was arrested on charges of sex trafficking minors.
Right.
While he was awaiting trial, he was found dead
Oh, I
in
don't
his
know.
jail cell
Yeah.
under mysterious circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Officially, they said it was suicide,
Right.
but a lot of people believe he was murdered
Oh, wow.
to prevent him from, exposing powerful people involved in his crimes.
Yeah.
So some people are making connections to Mangione,
Mm.
suggesting that, because he targeted this wealthy and influential CEO,
Right.
he might face a similar fate.
Wow.
It definitely shows how much distrust some people have in the system.
It's clear that this case isn't just about one guy's actions.
Yeah, it's bigger than that.
It's tapping into this deep skepticism
Mm,
towards authority and this belief that the system is rigged
for sure.
to protect the powerful.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another layer of complexity.
Okay.
President Trump's potential role in all of this.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
The Daily Beast article that you sent over was pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It said, that Trump is furious with Biden for commuting those federal death row sentences because it throws a wrench in his own plans for Mangione.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting to see how this is playing out politically.
Yeah.
You've got human rights experts who are praising Biden's decision as a compassionate move.
Right.
And then you've got Trump labeling it as senseless.
Oh, well, it seems like such a stark contrast.
It is.
Is this like really just about the death penalty, or is there something else going on?
You know, if we zoom out and look at the bigger picture, Trump's anger might not be just about the death penalty itself, but more about power and control.
Right.
So remember earlier this year, President Biden commuted the sentences of all the federal death row inmates to life in prison. It was a huge deal.
Yeah.
A lot of people praised it, but some criticized it, including Trump.
Of course.
So now the Mangione case, Trump sees this as a direct attack on his vision of law and order, and maybe a move that undermines his own legacy.
So it's more about the optics.
Yeah, the message it sends.
And wouldn't it be in Trump's best interest to try and capitalize on this politically?
Oh, totally.
I mean, he's never been one to shy away from using a situation to his advantage.
True, that Trump is a master of using these emotionally charged events to further his agenda.
Right.
It wouldn't be surprising at all if he tries to paint Mangione as a symbol of chaos.
Yeah.
And Biden as weak on crime.
Right.
This could be a way for him to rally his base and maybe sway some undecided voters.
And that goes right back to those Reddit threads.
Oh, yeah.
Some users were saying that Trump might even try to televise Mangione's execution.
Oh, wow.
If he's convicted.
Right.
Turn it into this whole media spectacle.
Like a big show.
Is that even possible?
Legally televising an execution is super unlikely. There's just so many legal hurdles.
Right.
And it would face huge public opposition.
Yeah.
But considering how Trump has always been a showman who likes to push boundaries, some people think it's plausible.
Wow.
It definitely raises some uncomfortable questions about how far he might go.
Yeah, it does.
It feels like we've barely scratched the surface of this case.
I know.
There's so much to unpack.
Totally.
And it's clear this legal battle is going to be intense.
Definitely. We talk about public perception and the political stuff surrounding this whole case. But let's get into the nitty-gritty of the legal strategies that might actually play out.
Yeah.
Where do you think the prosecution's going to focus their efforts to get a conviction?
I think they're going to try to show Mangione as a cold and calculated killer.
Okay.
They'll highlight the fact that he planned this whole attack.
Right.
Went after the CEO specifically and left that detailed confession.
Right.
They'll want to paint this picture of premeditation, malice.
But didn't we see in those Reddit threads that some people believe that the CEO deserved what happened?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Couldn't that play into the defense's strategy?
Definitely.
Some users even mentioned something called jury nullification. What is that exactly?
You're right. There's a lot of sympathy out there for Mangione and his situation.
Yeah.
And the defense will definitely try to use that.
Okay.
Jury nullification is this fascinating legal thing that could come into play.
Interesting.
It's basically this power that juries have to say not guilty, even if they think the defendant is guilty.
Wait, so they can just ignore the law?
Yeah, kind of.
Why would they do that?
It happens more than you'd think.
Really?
Jurors might choose to nullify the law if they think the law itself is unjust.
Okay.
Or if they really sympathize with the defendant.
So an example.
Sure, imagine a case where someone steals food to feed their family.
Okay.
Technically they broke the law, but a jury might acquit them because they understand the situation.
So in Mangione's case, you're saying a jury could look at all the evidence, agree that he did it, but still say not guilty.
Exactly.
Because they feel like the CEO deserved it.
That's the power of jury nullification.
Wow.
It's like a check on the law itself.
Interesting.
It lets citizens bring their own sense of morality and justice into the process.
Okay.
It's controversial, though.
I bet.
Prosecutors hate it.
Why?
They see it as undermining the rule of law.
Right.
But it's a legal possibility.
Yeah.
And it's something the defense might try to use here.
Okay, so jury nullification is one wild card.
Right.
What other strategies might the defense use?
I think they'll try to make Mangione seem more human.
Okay.
They'll probably focus on his struggles, especially the denial of his wife's treatment by the CEO's company.
Right.
They might argue that he was like super distressed emotionally and wasn't thinking straight at the time.
So they'll be playing on the jury's emotions.
Yeah. Trying to get them to feel for Mangione.
I imagine the prosecution will fight that hard.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The courtroom's going to be a battle of narratives.
Wow.
The prosecution will try to dismantle the defense's arguments, saying that his problems don't excuse murder.
Right.
And that he had other choices besides taking the law into his own hands.
Gotcha.
They'll want to stick to, like, the cold, hard facts, the crime itself.
This is going to be so fascinating to watch.
I know.
How likely is it that jury nullification will actually work in this case?
Hard to say.
Yeah.
It all comes down to the evidence, the lawyer's skills, and who's on the jury.
Right.
If they can find jurors who are already skeptical of big corporations, or who sympathize with people struggling with healthcare, then Mangione's chances go up.
So we've got this legal battle brewing with like these huge stakes.
Yeah.
And then you have Trump looming in the background.
Right.
What do you think happens if Mangione's actually convicted?
Trump will almost definitely use it to his advantage.
Yeah.
He's already shown he's willing to use this case to attack Biden and make himself look like the strong man who would have brought justice.
And that could have some big consequences, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about those Reddit threads where people were saying Trump might televise the execution.
While a televised execution is like super unlikely, Trump's rhetoric could still make things worse.
Yeah.
And divide people even more.
Right.
This case is already so emotionally charged.
It feels like the whole situation is about to explode.
I think you're right. The outcome of this trial could have huge implications.
Like what kinds of implications are we talking about?
Well, if Mangione's convicted,
yeah,
it might send the message that the system works.
Okay.
That even those who challenge powerful people will be held accountable.
Right.
It could be seen as a win for the rule of law, but it could also embolden those who think the system is rigged.
Against regular people.
Exactly. They might see it as proof that the rich and powerful are above the law.
And what if he's acquitted?
An acquittal could, like, shock the corporate world.
Wow.
And maybe embolden others who feel like the system failed them.
Okay.
It could lead to more vigilantism.
Oh.
With people feeling justified in taking matters into their own hands.
That's a scary thought. So much is riding on this trial.
It really is.
It's more than just one man's life.
Yeah.
It's about the future of our justice system and how we define accountability in a society that feels more and more divided. So we've covered like a ton of ground.
Oh, yeah.
From those crazy Reddit debates to all the legal strategies and Trump's potential role in all this.
Totally.
But I think we should like step back for a second.
Okay.
And look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
What are the like wider implications of this case? What does it tell us about society, like where we are right now?
This case has become like a lightning rod for so many of the anxieties and frustrations that are bubbling under the surface. It's like all these threads are coming together.
Totally.
Healthcare, corporate power.
Yeah.
Distrust of institutions, social media.
It feels like we're at this point where those frustrations are going to like boil over.
Yeah, it's not hard to see why millions of people are struggling with healthcare costs. Feeling squeezed by a system that puts profits over people. Yeah. There's this feeling that the game is rigged.
Totally.
For the wealthy and powerful. And that regular people have no say.
And those feelings are made worse by social media.
Oh, absolutely.
Those Reddit threads were full of people.
Yeah.
Sharing stories about being denied healthcare.
Right.
Or like struggling to afford their meds.
It creates this echo chamber.
Yeah.
Where the anger and resentment just keeps growing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Social media can be good.
Oh, yeah.
For raising awareness.
For sure.
Connecting people. But it can also make divisions worse.
Absolutely.
And spread misinformation.
Yeah. In this case, it's definitely adding to the feeling that the system is broken.
It's interesting, you know.
Yeah.
When we were talking about those Reddit threads before, I was surprised by how many users were comparing this to history.
Oh, yeah.
They were talking about the French Revolution.
Wow.
The fall of those big industrial guys like Rockefeller. And how jury nullification can challenge the status quo.
Interesting.
It seems like people are looking to the past for clues about what might happen next.
Those historical comparisons are fascinating.
Yeah.
They show how this case is tapping into some deep-seated fears and desires.
Right.
The French Revolution was driven by economic inequality and this sense that the ruling class was out of touch.
Totally. But like we see today.
Exactly.
With the anger at corporations and the wealthy.
So are we on the verge of a revolution?
Yeah. Is this case like the spark?
It's impossible to say for sure.
Yeah.
But this case is definitely revealing some cracks in our society. The outcome, no matter what the verdict, will have consequences.
It's a lot to think about.
It is.
We've explored the legal stuff, the political motivations, the public's divided opinions, and the historical context.
Yeah.
But really, this case comes down to some very human questions.
About right and wrong.
About justice and accountability.
It makes us ask ourselves, what is justice in a system that feels unfair?
Right.
Where's the line between individual responsibility and when society fails us?
Those are questions we've been wrestling with throughout this whole deep dive.
For sure.
And as we've seen, there are no easy answers.
That's what makes this case so interesting.
Absolutely.
And so important.
I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
This isn't just about Luigi Mangione. It's about all of us.
Right.
And the kind of society we want.
We've covered a lot today.
We have.
And this story is far from over.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be following it closely as it unfolds.
Definitely.
And we encourage you to do the same.
For sure.
Keep digging into those sources. Stay curious.
And most importantly, keep asking those tough questions. Because the answers might shape our future.